You come home. The house is quiet, but not empty. He runs to you. You talk to him. You share your day. You show your pain. He never interrupts you. You care. You feed. You protect. You love without fear, because he won't leave, won't reject you, won't confront you, won't abandon you. You call it love, but something feels off, a hidden weight, a disguised emptiness. And the painful question isn't about the animal. It's about you. That made you feel you can only love where there's no risk. You didn't wake up one day and choose to love this way. It was learned, quietly, before it ever became a choice. Your heart adapted to survive, not to flourish. And that changes everything. There is a pattern here, and it has a name. Carl Jung would call this projection. You displace deep parts of your soul into a safe place where there is no confrontation, no abandonment, no rejection. At some point in your story, loving someone hurt too much, maybe in childhood, maybe in a relationship, maybe through many small losses that no one noticed, but you felt and stored away. So your psyche learned something dangerous, that loving people is risky, that human bonds hurt, that giving yourself costs too much, that being fully seen is scary, and the heart creates strategies to avoid bleeding again. Even if it means closing, an animal doesn't demand performance, doesn't disappoint you, doesn't reject you on bad days. It doesn't abandon you emotionally. It doesn't disappear. It doesn't go silent. It doesn't make you question your worth, and that feels safe. But Jung would say something gently confronting here. When we project too much, we stop integrating. You're not loving too much. You're avoiding pain. You're protecting an old wound. That never healed, only got covered. You are not cold, not strange, not immature. You are someone who learned early that loving deeply hurts. So you chose to love where it hurts less, even if it hurts in another way. On the inside, there is relief in this, because now it makes sense. You are not broken. You are wounded, and wounds need care, not judgment, not shame, but awareness and time. And when you understand this, the guilt falls away. The confusion dissolves. You begin to see yourself with more kindness and less defense. The silence starts to speak, because the problem was never loving an animal. The problem was abandoning yourself in human relationships before trying again. But this is not the end. It's only the diagnosis, and every healing starts here, with recognition. You call it love, but it isn't. It's safety, it's control disguised as care. It's fear using the wrong name. And that's hard to admit, because it looks beautiful on the outside, but traps you on the inside. You say it's a choice, but it was defense. You say it's instinct, but it was adaptation. You say it's freedom, but it's escape from risk, from the human gaze, from real reciprocity. Loving an animal is pure, yes, but when it becomes a substitute, something is lost. Because there you're never confronted, never challenged, never asked to grow emotionally, never asked to be fully seen. You don't have to negotiate boundaries. You don't have to hear no. You don't have to face frustration. You don't have to hold conflict. You give everything and receive constant acceptance. No mirror, no adjustment, and it feels like peace, but it's anesthesia. Because human love transforms. It confronts. It reveals shadows. It demands presence. And you got tired of bleeding, so you call it maturity, independence, enough love. But deep down you know, something is frozen. An unlived desire, an avoided bond, an interrupted surrender. You didn't choose less pain. You chose less risk. But with the risk, you also gave up depth, building something. Real intimacy, the imperfect us, but alive. And this is where the illusion breaks. Because it was never a lack too much of inner safety. You don't love too much. You fear too much. And that fear decided for you, quietly, for years. But what comes next changes everything. Maybe no one has ever explained your pain like this before. Maybe, for the first time, something finally made sense inside you. This channel exists for that reason, to give language to what was always silent. Subscribe, because your soul deserves understanding, not judgment. God watches in silence. He doesn't condemn your affection. He doesn't minimize your pain. He sees where this came from, and he respects the timing of your soul. But he whispers something new, something you avoided hearing, out of fear. God never asked you to love where there is no risk. He created you for living relationships, imperfect, human, where love matures, where the heart learns limits, and where the soul grows, even when it hurts. The Bible says in Proverbs 4:23, "Above all else, guard your heart." It doesn't say to lock it away. It says to care for it, because a closed heart decays. A guarded heart blooms, even after being wounded, even after fear. God is not competing with your love. He is calling you back to yourself, to the courage to feel, to the risk of surrender, to the maturity of conscious love. Not love that escapes, but love that stays. You thought God was silent, but He was protecting you, not breaking you. He was tuning your sensitivity, separating attachment from love, fear from surrender, need from calling, illusion from truth. Isaiah 43:1 echoes as comfort. "I have called you by name. You are mine. Before any bond, before any substitute, before any emotional escape, you were already chosen, already seen, already loved." God took you out of something from you, out of a place where love couldn't grow, where the soul hid, where fear ruled, where the heart overprotected itself and lived less. In silence, revelation doesn't accuse, it awakens. You didn't fail by loving. You simply lost your way, and God never loses sight of you. He waits, with patience, until you hear yourself again, and when this truth touches you, there is no guilt, there is relief. The soul breathes, because now you understand. It wasn't too much love, it was a thirst for safety. Silence, breathe, because what comes next is practical healing. Healing begins with a simple gesture, but an uncomfortable one. You stop hiding from human connection, not all at once, not by force, but with awareness, small steps, small openings. The first action is observation, without judgment. Every time you avoid and run toward comfort, silence, control, predictability, ask in prayer, what am I trying to avoid feeling right now? You don't need to force trust, you just need to stop numbing yourself. Discomfort is not danger, it's a sign of life, of growth, of emotional maturity, of the soul waking up. Even with fear, pray quietly. God, teach me to love without hiding. Because God doesn't remove risk. He strengthens you within it. Run away. With presence, with truth. Begin allowing small frustrations, small boundaries, small differences, without abandoning the bond, without closing your heart, without disappearing emotionally. This is maturity training, not punishment. You'll feel the urge to retreat, to close again, to choose the safe place. But remember, safety without exchange becomes a cage. And God didn't create you to survive. He created you to relate, for real. This first action doesn't require huge courage. It requires consistency, daily awareness, emotional presence, even trembling, even unsure, because faith isn't the absence of fear. It's walking through it with God. Silence now. Observe your impulses. Are they protecting you or keeping you from living? Hey, if you got distracted, come back now. This is the most important part. Don't rush through it. Don't rationalize. Don't skip. Stay present. The second action goes deeper. You need to put love back in its rightful place. Not remove love from the animal, but stop using it as a substitute. Because when something occupies a place that isn't its own, something inside you stays empty, even if it looks full. On the outside, you begin by acknowledging in prayer, God, I used care as a refuge, not with guilt, but with truth, because God only heals what is brought into the light. What stays hidden becomes a cage. What's revealed becomes a path, always. Then, consciously, you allow yourself to desire human connection, to desire exchange, to desire reciprocity, even with fear, even without guarantees, because desire is not weakness. It's a sign of spiritual life. You stop calling yourself complete alone and start telling the truth. I am whole, but I was created for relationship. Even Jesus walked with people, cried with people, trusted people, knowing he would be hurt. You stop spiritualizing isolation. Loneliness is not holiness. Avoiding bonds is not maturity. And constant emotional comfort is not peace. Peace moves. Peace tells the truth. Peace takes purposeful risks. With God present, this action is an inner repositioning. You leave survival mode and enter conscious surrender, No rush, no fantasy, no idealization, but with adult faith, rooted. You don't abandon what you love, you simply return everything to its place. And when that happens, the heart aligns, the soul breathes, and God takes the center, not as a substitute, but as the foundation. Because when love finds its rightful place, everything begins to align. You didn't fail by loving. That was never the issue. You loved where it felt safe, because one day, loving hurt too much, and your soul learned to protect itself, quietly, carefully, with fear. You're not strange, not cold, not incapable of loving people. You simply forgot what it feels like to be seen, to be confronted, to grow together. The animal was never the problem. It was shelter, companionship, legitimate comfort, but not your final destination, because you were created for encounter, for exchange, for living relationship. Now you understand. The emptiness wasn't a lack of love. It was too much defense, a contracted heart, a soul in survival mode. And now something softens, something releases, something trusts. God didn't judge you in this process. He walked with you, waited for your timing, respected your rhythm, and now He calls you, not to overexpose yourself, but to hide less. With Him, you can keep loving, caring, protecting, but without abandoning yourself, without replacing bonds, without avoiding the human, without calling anesthesia peace, without confusing fear with maturity. You don't have to choose between safety and depth. God teaches you to hold both, with boundaries, with awareness, with adult faith. That doesn't run from pain, but doesn't live there either. It walks through. You were afraid to love people. Now you know why. And understanding changes everything. Because awareness frees, faith sustains, and love, when it finds its rightful place, stops hurting and starts building. Final silence. Breathe. You're not late. You're awakening. If this message made sense to you, subscribe to our channel. Here, every story reveals why you suffer and what God is teaching you through it. Psychology to understand yourself, spirituality to understand the reason behind it. And for you who made it to the end of this video, write in the comments, "I choose the right place for love." Some blessings are released when you give words to what you understood.